Pullman, Washington, Mulberry Field. It is bathed in sunshine today. It is a triangular meet, Idaho, Oregon, and the Cougars of Washington State. Well, a very pleasant good afternoon to you, everybody. I'm Phil Stone, and boy, what a treat we have for you today. Normally, our track coverage on ESPN, we're unable to show you many of the intricacies because so many events to cover today, a little bit different. Joining me on the telecast today is Dwight Stones. And Dwight, boy, what a treat this is. They really have the time to explain some of the things we're about to see.
Well, Phil, so often on ESPN we see invitational events.
Yes.
This is a dual meet, really a triangular meet. They're going to score it as a dual meet. But these teams, both on the men's and women's side, bitter rivalries sometimes, even though they are very friendly coaches. You've got coaches on the men's side, Bill Dellinger in his 19th year at the University of Oregon, John Chaplin in his 18th year. If Chaplin wins, Washington State wins on the men's side, they'll be 10-10 over the last 20 meetings. So there's a lot on the line here, and we'll be able to see some of the strategies with some athletes boxing the other athletes from the team to get those crucial second and third place points.
Oh, Dwight, it's an interesting comment you made. Both the Ducks of Oregon and the Cougars of Washington State, they are accustomed to winning. And I think certainly one of the reasons why, you touched on it, they have stability in those head coaching ranks.
Exactly. 19 years on Oregon, 18 years at Washington State. These guys know how to recruit for depth, but they also can be very good at the national level. In fact, Washington State has been picked as a 1-point favorite to win the NCAA team title because of people like Augustine Olobia from Nigeria. His first year running track here at Washington State, he's dominating in the 100 and the 200. Tony Lee, as you mentioned, the best high hurdler in the collegiate ranks. That kind of marquee value brings along the other second and third place people in the middle distances, in the throws and the jumps, that is necessary for good, strong dual meet performances. Washington State, aside from having a chance to win the national title, may be the best dual meet team in the country, and Oregon may be the second best, but Coach Bill Dellinger said in order for Oregon to win today, they got to have the breaks, they have to have the drop batons, the no heights in the pole vault, the disqualifications, the bad performances by Washington State, or he sees them absolutely running away with it today.
You talk about the Cougars of Washington State. It is not only important that they win events today, but in track and field, particularly in dual meet competition, Dwight, you have to be able to finish second and third strong.
That's very, very strong. You're absolutely right. In the hammer, for example, Oregon has the best hammer thrower in the country, and Scott McGee had a personal best today winning the hammer, but Washington State got that third place, that 1 point, and that can make the difference here and there. As I said, the drop baton in the relay, the poor performance of the no height in the pole vault, that is what you look for in dual meets. You're going to have the great one-time performances, the automatic qualifier to the NCAA, or a school record, but it's the depth that really matters, that number 2, number 3 person in the 5,000 with going into the relays. That's what you look for.
This is not only a men's triangular meet, the women are also here from Idaho, Washington State, and Oregon. And when you talk about Oregon's women, they are absolutely tremendous. Tom Heinonen, boy, what a team he has in 1991.
And again, as we were saying, 15th year at Oregon for Tom Heinonen. They are strong across the board, from the sprints and hurdles to the middle and long distances and then jumps and the javelin. They can hurt you everywhere. Washington State will have a good showing here, and Idaho will do all right. But Oregon is so completely full of depth that they've even sent their best javelin thrower down to Mount Sac in Southern California to compete against the best javelin throwers in the country, and still they should dominate.
Of course, you're talking about Paula Berry. She will not be here today. This should be a good one. Oregon, they have 13 straight victories over the Lady Cougars of Washington State. Can the Cougars turn it around? We're about to find out.
It all started when I got off my couch and got on my Easy Glider to watch football. Look what happened.
This is actual footage of Keith's home video showing his dramatic weight loss.
I watched what I ate, worked out on my Easy Glider, and lost 75 pounds.
All across America, people have found that 20 minutes every other day works to firm all major muscle groups and helps to lose weight aerobically. Just step on the glider pads, set the tension control for desired resistance, and you're off on a road to fitness, burning up to 300 calories per workout.
After the baby, I was surprised how quickly I lost 27 pounds, and Easy Glider helped make that happen.
Some say it's the #1 fitness exercise, providing a superior cardiovascular workout and toning of chest, arms and back, calves, thighs, and buttocks.
You get aerobic workouts, you get muscle tone workout and development. It's a better workout.
The smooth, fluid gliding action means low impact. Get away from the shocks and injuries of jogging. And unlike exercise bikes, all major muscles get an efficient workout. Plus, this handsome unit folds down quickly for easy storage.
I thought the price was right, and I was really amazed once I got the product.
Easy Glider is yours for just 3 easy payments of $19.95 from Fitness Quest.
I get on the Easy Glider, I come back revitalized and refreshed. To me, it's an energizer.
I have tried bikes, jogging, even racquetball, and Easy Glider is definitely the best. Call toll-free like I did to shape up and slim down with Easy Glider.
Order your Easy Glider by calling 1-800-972-3500. That's 1-800-972-3500. We'll bill your credit card 3 easy payments of $19.95 each. And we won't bill the last payment till you've tried Easy Glider for 60 days. You get a full 60-day home trial with a money-back guarantee. The total price, just $59.85 plus $9 shipping and handling. Full payment mail orders accepted, or call 1-800-972-3500 now.
On a picture-perfect day here in Pullman, Washington, it is now time for the men's 1,500 meters. In both of these schools, Washington State and Oregon excel. A world record belonging, of course, to the flying Moroccan Saeed Ouida, the American Mark Sidney Marie, and the NCAA record belongs to Abdi Bili of George Mason at 3:31.71. And the ones, Dwight, will be watching in this field, Oregon's Alan Foster and Samuel Kabiri of Washington State.
Kabiri coming on very, very strong in 1991. He can run everything from the 800 to the 5,000, and it'll just be up to Coach Chaplin. As you see, Kabiri there, number 12. It's just a matter of what Chaplin wants to run him in any particular meet. He could go in 2 or 3 different events at the NCAAs next month.
Talk about Samuel Kabiri. Last Saturday, he ran the first sub-4-minute mile at Stanford Stadium in 11 years. You have to go all the way back to 1980. His 3:57.84 shattered the Washington State outdoor record that Rick Riley had held since way back in 1970. A second and a half under NCAA qualifying time. Kabiri already on his way to the NCAAs. The junior from Kenya is the odds-on favorite. He is number 12.
Watch for some interesting strategy here as Washington State going to try and get as many points as possible. Would love to sweep here. That's not likely, but depending on what they have their teammates do as far as boxing the Oregon runners, it'll be very interesting. They have the home field advantage, and sometimes the officials are a little bit more lax on the home field boys.
Now, the Pac-10 record belongs to Joaquin Cruz, set 7 years ago while he was running for the Ducks of Oregon. That marked 3:36.48. In fact, when you look down the record book, 4 Ducks own the top 4 Pac-10 marks. Remember Max Centrowitz, Dub Myers, Steve Prefontaine. In fact, Pre's mark of 3:38.1 back in 1973, still the 4th best in Pac-10 history.
Well, you'll find as you go through the record book, so many of the great middle distance and distance runners have come out of the Pac-10 conference, and Kabiri is in that same mold of the Henry Ronos, the Samson Kamambwas, the Julius Careers, all of whom have competed in Olympic Games and have won Olympic medals. So Samuel Kabiri is just an extension of that from Kenya, and you can see he's staying out of trouble there. Now he's going to take over the lead from his teammate, Jamie Nordstrom. He does not like to be touched while he's running, and that's going to be a problem as he gets into world-class competition because there's a lot of bumping and a lot of elbowing, so he's keeping himself clear of that kind of action.
Now, he's one speedster, then it will not transfer to the NFL, I can be sure.
That's for sure.
Doesn't like contact. Now Kabiri running flawlessly now out ahead of the field. Watch number 105 and the green and gold, Alan Foster of Oregon. His career best, 3:42.12, just a little over 2 seconds behind Kabiri's best mark.
Usually look around 3:43 for 1,500. That's about 4 minutes for a mile. But again, this is a dual meet competition. Kabiri wants to stay out in front, but he'd like for his teammates, Nordstrom and Kramer, to get up there and try to pull them along to a second-place finish and try and get those 8 points. Remember, the scoring is 5 points for first, 3 points for second, 1 point for third, as we have actually 3 dual meets going on simultaneously. Washington State versus Oregon, Oregon versus Idaho, and Washington State versus Idaho. But Kabiri seems to have things well in hand. But as you said, Phil, Alan Foster, he looks like he's in a good position. He can just run off Kabiri.
Hell, ordinarily, Dwight, this would be a world record type of day. I mean, the weather, as I touched on at the outset, in the low to mid 70s, a very light, cool breeze blowing. But this track, as good as it is, not particularly oriented to world caliber times.
Coach Chaplin was telling me yesterday he was sort of puzzled as to why Coach Dellinger from Oregon was bringing some of his kids up to run for the 3rd week in a row in the steeplechase, maybe the 5,000, to get NCAA qualifying times. He said, Dwight, I've had some of the greatest middle distance and distance runners ever on this track. They don't run well here.
1 lap to go. It is now Kabiri, and moving up into second place is the Vandal from Idaho, Mark Olden. He is wearing number 208. His best mark in an indoor mile is 4:06 even. And he is just about 5 feet behind Kabiri.
Now he's starting to fade a little bit. Kabiri putting on a little bit of a surge there on the backstretch, a little over 200 meters to go. He's leaving Olden behind, but more importantly, he's also leaving the rest of the field behind, including his own teammates. The Oregon runner is now currently 3rd, so in that dual meet between Washington State and Oregon, the battle is going to really be for that 2nd spot.
Here comes Kabiri as he heads down the home stretch for the final time as they come to their feet here at Newberry Stadium. It is Samuel Kabiri of Washington State. His best mark, 340.5, unofficially 342.36. Mark Olden of Idaho takes second, and Shannon Lamora of Oregon finished third.
342.36, just about right under 4 minutes. It'd be about 3:59.6. A very nice leisurely run for Samuel Kabiri, and he'll get more and more comfortable with these kinds of paces. But as I mentioned earlier, he doesn't like to be touched. He doesn't like to be boxed. He likes to stay away from the rest of the competitors, which in this particular field, that was no problem for him. But when he gets into the Pac-10 conference and especially the NCAA meet, he's going to have to change his strategy unless he wants to always be a front runner. You can see here it looks very, very relaxed on the way to, as I said, just slightly under a 4-minute mile. No problems. He put the hammer down on the backstretch and distanced himself from the Idaho runner, Mark Olden, and he cruises nicely, keeps form, looks very, very relaxed as he crosses the finish line, the winner of the 1,500 meters.
Another in a long list of flying Kenyans.
Samuel Kabiri, this is Dwight Stones. How did that particular race feel? I know the first 400 meters you wanted to feel out the rest of the field, but then you just took off with 1 lap to go.
It felt easy. I just wanted to do a good race. At least I wanted to average less than 60 seconds per lap, and I think I did it. Something like that.
You decided on the backstretch of that last lap to just do a little bit of a burst there and run down that backstretch. Did that feel good? Was there any wind that you had to deal with, or did you just want to test your speed then?
No, it felt easy. Actually, I've been working on the last 300 meters. I always want to run that very fast, something like at 40 seconds for the last 300 meters. So when I'm running, I'm always conserving some energy for that, for the last 300 meters.
Well, you look very, very easy. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Samuel Kabiri runs off with the men's 1,500 meters, and he does it in convincing style. We're coming back with more from Washington State.
1957, the year Chevrolet introduced one of the most popular cars of all time, the 57 Chevy. Now, anyone who admires this great American classic won't want to be without the 1957 Chevrolet telephone, the perfect addition to any car lover's home or office. The 57 Chevy phone is a stunning replica of the original and a fully working telephone. It includes an option for tone or pulse, a last number redial, a non-slip tire base, it's hearing aid compatible, and comes with a ringer on-off switch. Plus, the horn honks and the headlights flash when someone calls. The 57 Chevy phone is FCC approved and guaranteed for 1 full year. The 57 Chevy phone is a perfect gift for anyone who appreciates the dazzling style of this legendary car, or for anyone who wants to own a real car phone. Order one now. The classic 57 Chevy phone is only $39.95. To order, call 1-800-253-1000. This is an authentic replica phone authorized and licensed by the Chevrolet Division of General Motors. Order yours now in red, baby blue, or classic black. Call 1-800-253-1000.
We welcome you back to the Newberry track here at Pullman, Washington, the home track of the Cougars of Washington State. Earlier today, the field events began here at Pullman, Washington, and they began in grand fashion. Let's begin now with the women's long jump competition, and the class of that field is unquestionably Kamala Kohlmeyer of the University of Oregon, well under her best of 19 feet, 1/4 of an inch, but she still won it with ease, Dwight.
She's battling some injuries. She's their heptathlete. She's going to run in several events today. She was 10 points in last year's Pac-10 meet, 3rd in the heptathlon. We'll see her later in the 100-meter hurdles as well, but she is the winner and gets those points for Oregon as they go 1-2.
And Susan Fredrickson of Idaho takes 3rd. In the women's javelin competition, Kim Hyatt, one of 3 Pac-10 javelin throwers, already provisionally qualified for the NCAAs. No problem here.
Her teammate Paula Berry, who was the runner-up at the NCAAs last year, went down to Southern California to throw against some of the best throwers in the nation. Kim Hyatt wins here easily with 1:59.9, but she still needs to get an NCAA automatic qualifier to go to Eugene next month.
And a couple of lady Cougars taking 2nd and 3rd, Darlene McClure and Carol Smith. In the hammer throw, Scott McGee, nobody in the Pac-10 has been even close. And look at that throw today, 225 feet 10 inches to lead a 1-2 finish for the Ducks. And Matt Schaefer of Washington State took third. And the men's long jump competition, George Obidi, only man in the field who is on his way to the NCAAs. And right here he is about, Dwight, to show us why.
He took one jump. This is his first jump, the winning jump. He hurt his back, his mid-back. He was having trouble taking deep breaths after that landing in the pit. But he was okay after a little bit of a massage as he trips out of the sand. And we will see him in the 100 and the 200 as well as the relay.
You see Obidi's mark 24:10.5, followed by Rodney Zuderwick of Washington State and Pedro da Silva of the Oregon Ducks. In the men's javelin competition, Art Skipper, quite simply, no surprise whatsoever.
He really reminds me of Russ Francis from about 20 years ago when he threw for Oregon. Just a sophomore, 6'3", 200, great build for a javelin thrower. He's had a little trouble with his left ankle, the ankle that he plants with. He blew it up a couple of weeks ago. He's throwing with heavily taped, but he wins here with 2:15.10.
Art Skipper, there you see that mark. Chad McKinney of Washington State finishes second, and Mario Ragazzo, another Cougar, taking that all-important number 3 spot. In the steeplechase competition, it was John Hill of Washington State leading the Cougars to a 1-2 punch. Robert Price, number 2, and Ty Van Schielak of Oregon taking third. And in the women's shot put competition, Georgette Reed with a throw of 51.5 over Oregon's Julie Beck. Washington State's Christy Andrews taking third in the women's shot. So that's just some of the field competition that has taken place earlier today here in Pullman. After 5 events, and this triangular meet scored as 3 dual meet competition. Washington State over Oregon. Oregon over Washington State. The Cougars over Idaho, and Oregon over the Vandals 42-0. On the women's side, you take a look, Oregon over Washington State. Washington State in front of Idaho 22-13, and Oregon all over the Lady Vandals 36-2. As we told you at the outset of our telecast, we expect the Lady Ducks to do well, and they are. We are set to go now. It's the women's 100-meter hurdles, and we will be watching in lane 3, Oregon's Kamala Kohlmeyer. Her best is 14.2, and in lane 6, Shannon Bryan of Washington State. And these are the records they'll be chasing. The world mark belonging to Jordanka Donkova, the American record, Gail Devers, also the NCAA mark, 12.61. And there's the field. Kamala Kohlmeyer in lane 3. And out in lane 6, Shannon Bryan of Washington State. Bryan with a 14.08 wind aided. She will be right in the midst of that finish line with Kamala Kohlmeyer.
In lane 5 also, Phil, Kelly Blair. She'll be in 4 events today, both hurdle races, the javelin and the high jump. She's already thrown the javelin, so she's getting ready for the Pac-10 heptathlon along with Kohlmeyer in lane 3.
Lanes 3, 5, and 6. A good start out in lane 2 by Karen McCloskey of Idaho. But in lane 4, it is Chris Gesh of Washington State. And it appears as if Chris Gesh is going to win this one. Whoa, my. She had the slowest of all the times of the people in this field of a 14.41 wind aided. Well, what an upset.
Plus, Kelly Blair had withdrawn from that particular race just before. She may be involved in the high jump and didn't want to bother with the hurdles, but that's a big come-through for Washington State as they got 1-2 against Oregon. Here we go. Kamala Kohlmeyer, as you said, out in lane 3. She just seemed to lose rhythm when Karen McCloskey on her left got such a good start. Then out in lane 4, Chris Gesh, as you said, Phil, coming in here with not a terrific time. 14.41 wind aided, but she is absolutely taking control as she comes off the 10th hurdle, and her teammate down at the lower part of the screen, you'll see Shannon Byron 1-2 for Washington State against Oregon. That's a huge upset for the Lady Cougs.
Well, our winner is Chris Gesh. And Chris, I suppose the question that everyone wants answered, were you as surprised as the rest of us were that you outdistanced this field?
Yeah, I was. I'm really excited, too. A lot of hard work has paid off, and I'm finally where I should be.
Well, Chris, you ran unofficially 13.90. That's a huge improvement on your personal best. But not only that, you and your teammate, Shannon Byron, went 1-2 against Oregon. Is this something that Coach Castleman told you guys got to go out and make a difference if you're going to make a good showing against Oregon?
Yeah, he did. He really wanted us to get 1 and 2, and he said the hurdles was going to be one of our strong events today. And we went out and we finally did it.
Did you feel that the focus was going to be on Kohlmeyer in 2 and that you could sort of run your own race? And if you got in the rhythm, which you got in a fabulous rhythm about the middle of the race, and you started to pass her, did you keep your concentration on the hurdles in front of you, or did you realize, hey, I'm winning this thing?
Yeah, after about the 5th hurdle, I just said, just go. And I tried to just pour it on because I knew I could do it. I had a bad start, but I pulled it off at about the 5th hurdle.
Well, you more than made up for it. Congratulations on a great effort.
Thanks a lot.
A big, big victory for Chris Gesh in the women's 100-meter hurdles. Don't go away. We're coming back with the men's in a moment.
NASCAR racing's hot car is the Chevy Lumina, piloted by jockeys like Daytona champion Ernie Irvan.
My Lumina puts me in victory lane. Here's your chance to win the Lumina of your choice, like a new Z34. From now until the halfway point of ESPN's next Pick the Winning Chevy race, you can call and enter the number of the Lumina you think will finish highest in the race for just 99 cents a minute. The winner will be selected from all correct phone and mail entries. Hey, nice job. See you Sunday on ESPN.
Sir, I want you to stand right here for me, okay? So go ahead and get your hands out of your pockets. Go ahead and stand face me. Put your heels and toes together. All the way together. All the way together. Do you see my pen right here in front of your eyes? I want you to follow my pen, okay, with your eyes only. Okay, sir. Go ahead and turn around. You have anything in a gun? No. Go ahead and turn around. Give me your hands to the back. Okay, you're under arrest for DWI, okay? We're going to go downtown for intoxicating license test, okay?
Live, top-ranked boxing on ESPN. The place where fighters have stepped into the ring as unknown, made the right connection, and emerged as champions.
You gotta knock them off to win this, all right?
See the two-fisted excitement when Olympian Todd Foster battles Oscar Lopez, plus undefeated star on the rise, Scotty Bulldog Olsen meets Raymond Solis. Top-ranked boxing, Thursday night, live on ESPN.
The Lady Cougar in an upset. Her time, 13.9, a career best by almost a full half second. Chris Gesh wins it, followed by Karen McCluskey and Shannon Byron of Washington State. Up next, it's the men's 110-meter hurdles, the world mark, belonging, of course, to Roger Kingdom. The NCAA mark, it has stood a long time, all the way back to 1979. Belongs, of course, to Skeets, Ronaldo Nehemiah. And this field here today, it is a good one. We will be watching Lane 5, Tony Lee. He has already qualified for the upcoming NCAAs. Also beside him, Bob Gray in Lane 6, and in Lane 8, Pedro da Silva.
That's the man, Tony Lee, twice the indoor 55-meter hurdles champion and the odds-on favorite to win the title at the NCAAs next month in Eugene. Had a little bit of a trouble with his right hamstring. Coach Chaplin wasn't even sure if he was going to run him today, but it's good to see him out there.
Out in Lane 8, it is Muhammad Oliver and not Pedro da Silva now. Muhammad Oliver of Oregon. We are set. Keep your eyes in Lane 5. It is Tony Lee. And boy, did he get a jump. Right beside him in Lane 6, it is Bob Gray. Lee and Gray, it'll be Tony Lee. Two-time NCAA 55-meter hurdle indoor champion.
You could see it was a little bit tentative. He makes a move in the middle of the race around the 4th or 5th hurdle, and it was an effective move. But Bob Gray from Oregon on Tony's right, we will see on the replay, really holds it together and runs an excellent race. I think Tony about right now realizes how close he is as he hits that hurdle. Then he starts to get technically more sound. He realizes all he has to do is run the race properly. He's got more speed than Bob Gray. Bob Gray never broken 14 seconds, and he's able to ease up at the tape. And Tony wins it, but he has to have a little bit of a scare there with Bob Gray on his right from Oregon having an outstanding performance. But Tony Lee has very nice technique. He's the Asian record holder from China, competed in the '88 Olympic Games in Seoul, and he has been so consistent these last couple of years, looking for some big things for him later on this season.
Only the second time this year that Tony and the Cougars of Washington State have run here on their home track. And Tony, what does it do for you when you compete in the indoor season right alongside the Greg Fosters, the Ronaldo Nehemiahs, and the Roger Kings? It must give you a heck of a lift then as you take on the outdoor season in your Pac-10 competition.
Actually, indoors, I was preparing for the NCAA indoor, so the first part of an indoor, I think I wasn't ready for that. But after indoor nationals, I feel my technique getting better and better, and my body got better shape.
How about that right leg, Tony? John said that he might not run you today. The right leg giving you a little bit of trouble in training earlier this week. How did it feel during the race?
I felt I took lead in the early part of the race, and I took easy, but my leg, because my leg getting sore, but Bob can catch up, and I have to run a little faster than that, because this is my last home meet. I've been here for 4 years, so I have a lot to run for Cougars.
And you're going out in great style. Tony, congratulations on your victory and the men's 110-meter hurdles. There are the unofficial results. Tony Lee, a time of 13.79 over Bob Gray and Mark McDonald of Washington State. Now don't go away. The triangular meet, the Cougars, the Ducks, and the Vandals of Idaho continues.
All in favor of garden grip tools with the comfortable foam cushion handles. Garden Grip Lawn and Garden Tools by True Temper. We make yard work easy to handle.
It takes desire and dedication to break out of the mold of an average body. General Nutrition Centers can help you break the mold with Joe Weider's Victory Mass Kit, with 4 nutrient-dense supplements to help max your tough workout. An $85 value, now only $49.99. Joe Weider's Victory, the choice of champions. GNC, the authority in sports nutrition products.
Tuesday, Roger Clemens unloads his firepower when he takes the mound for the Red Sox. The new-look Blue Jays take aim at the Pacers. The Red Sox and the Blue Jays lead off an ESPN Tuesday night doubleheader.
Welcome back to Mooberry Track here in Pullman, Washington. We are set for the women's 400 meters, and the world mark belongs to East Germany's Marita Koch. Set 6 years ago, if you can believe that. The American mark belonging to Valerie Briscoe, and there's the NCAA record of 49.91, which has stood since 1984. The field we will be watching today in lane 2, Crystal Allen of Washington State. Her best mark 55.8, and in lane 4, Tracy Plyman, another Lady Cougar, her time 57.17 run indoors. So keep your eyes on lane 2 and lane 4. Here is Crystal Allen in lane 2.
Such another important race for both the Ducks and the Cougars, or the Lady Ducks and the Lady Cougars. They may have already moved the Lady Cougars in the women's 100-meter hurdles, a big turnaround in points. If they could pull an upset here in the 400, they could put a lot of pressure on Tom Heinen and his Lady Ducks and could make a battle out of this dual meet.
Now, Washington State's women's team has never beaten the Lady Ducks in 13 dual meet competitions. The favorites here, both Lady Cougars. Allen in lane 2, Plyman in lane 4. Also be watching out in lane 6, Kim Gillis. She is a Lady Vandal from the University of Idaho. We're set. Good start.
Races run all the way in lanes, so contact is not a problem, but you want to see who's going to make a move on that backstretch, who has enough courage to establish a lead. You won't really be able to tell who's in the lead till they come off the final turn with 100 meters to go.
Kim Gillis of Idaho leading now. But on the inside, it is Gwen Ween of the University of Oregon. Her best time, 58.53.
Now, this is the all-important point of this race, running that second turn hard. This is where the race is made or broken because everyone's tired with 100 meters to go. Then it's just a matter of keeping the form together.
In lane 4, Tracy Plyman of Washington State, as we predicted. She is running oh so strong, and now out in lane 5 of Oregon, it is Kim Hudson.
Kim Hudson pulling away to an easy victory as Plyman just ties up the last 50 meters. Cougars go second and third, but that is an upset, Phil. First place for the Ducks in that particular race, that could help erase the advantage the Lady Cougars got from the women's 100-meter hurdles.
Dwight, officially, Kim Hudson of Oregon, she does not have a time posted in a women's 400 meters.
You can see here she looks very, very good on Plyman's outside. Plyman never sees her coming, but on the outside there, you can see in the yellow and green of Oregon, number 175, excuse me, number 158, Kim Hudson making a nice move here. And at this point in time, Tracy Plyman's already tying up. Hudson may have sensed that and just runs right by her and puts him immediately 5 to 6 meters on the Lady Coug, and it's all smooth sailing from there. Any little bit of wind she might have picked up. 40 or 50 meters, what a huge lead that she was able to build in winning that race.
Now for Kim Hudson, this is her first trip around 400 meters here in 1991. She ran it twice last year, primarily an 800 runner. And Kim, I suppose when you looked around the field and you saw Tracy Plyman there to your right and Crystal Allen, you knew you were in for a fight.
Bull Run, Gettysburg, Shiloh, a war fought on many grounds. We fought for you here, where you'll come face to face with first-hand accounts, maps, photos, and more that cut to the heart of a war that cut both ways.
The union of these states is perpetual. Our separation from the old union is complete.
So North and South met in fire and fury. Get both sides of this great and tragic story in Time Life Books' Civil War.
Call now for your free examination of Lee Takes Command. If you decide to keep it, pages $4.99. That's $10 off the regular price. Other books will follow about every other month on the same free examination. Buy only the ones you want, cancel anytime. So dial this toll-free number now. We're waiting for your call.
Welcome back. It is a picture-perfect day here in Eastern Washington, along with Dwight Stones. I'm Phil Stone, no relation. We are set for the women's 100 meters, the world mark belonging to Flojo, set in Seoul in 1988, the NCAA record on Soel. One of the Lady Tigers, her time 10.78. And our field today, we will be watching lanes 3, 4, and 5. Tanya Smith of Washington State. In the middle, it is Rosie Williams. And oh, what a talent from Oregon. And in lane 5, another Coug, Jennifer Galka.
Well, Rosie Williams should definitely be the class of this field, coming back from some injuries in 1990, but she is really tearing it up in the 100 and 200, as well as running strong on their relay team. She's a provisional qualifier for the NCAAs at 11.75, but when she gets on that fast track down in Eugene, she ought to be able to get an automatic qualifier.
And you look back at her sophomore year. She ran a 11:58, sixth best in conference history, and it still stands as the number 6.
Very strong runner. Key for obviously all the sprinters is the start, but Rosie Williams is strong enough from the 200-meter background. She's a very strong finisher in 100. And these other
Rosie Williams, the winner in the women's 100-meter day. So for Jennifer Galka and Brandy Stevenson of Washington State taking third. So it is all important that the Lady Cougs finish second and third, and they accomplish that task.
$1 million is on the line in USA Network's World League Challenge, and you can win it instantly, along with a world of other big prizes. If you have the guts to play. Remember, one play and life could be a whole new ball game. Catch World League football action on USA Network.
Pick up a game piece for USA Network's World League Challenge at any Olympic sports location.
Kareem, we'll never see eye to eye on anything.
Don't be so short-sighted. We can both see that space research benefits everyone.
Oh, like the scratch-proof lens developed for the Apollo space camera?
That same technology led to scratch-proof eyeglasses, sunglasses,
and even goggles.
You wouldn't need those if your horse was always in front.
That's a tall order.
What we're learning up there
is helping us all down here.
Space technology.
This is what's in it for you.
Control, contact. One wrong move and it's over. See all the bumper-to-bumper excitement at the First Union 400 tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Absolutely gorgeous afternoon here in Pullman, Washington. We are set now for the men's 100-meter dash. The world mark belonging to Carl Lewis. The NCAA record, Calvin Smith of Alabama, 9.93. And our field today, in lane 4, George Obidi of Washington State. In lane 6, Augustine Olopia, another Cougar. And in lane 7 of Idaho, Stephen Lewis. So this is an event, I think, Dwight, that the Cougars should dominate.
Bill Dellinger, the coach at Oregon, has given this event 1-2 to Washington State, and there's no reason why it shouldn't go that way. Augustine Olopia, the only man to beat Rocket Ishmael at 55 meters indoors. In fact, the only loss that Ishmael has ever suffered at the collegiate ranks in track and field. He will be out in lane 6, and he helped anchor their 4x100-meter relay to a victory earlier. George Obedi in lane 4 won the long jump, hurt his back in so doing, but came back about an hour later, had some therapy, and was able to run a very strong second leg for Washington State. So they should go 1-2. It's just a matter of, can Ronnie Harris of University of Oregon pick up that third spot just to at least make a showing for Oregon, or will it be a sweep when Benary Burrows of Washington State, who is in lane 2 on the far right of your screen, will Washington State sweep this as all the people on the home stretch stand up to watch this great 100 meters?
Lanes 4 and lane 6 are the ones we will watch. Obidi in lane 4, Augustine Olobia in lane 6. You talked about Olobia outdistancing Rocket Ismail, his only defeat at Notre Dame. I'll tell you what, he may have lost then, but he's about to notch his biggest victory in Rocket Ismail's career when he signs that NFL contract in the next week.
Of course, we don't know where he's going to go. The draft's on Sunday and Monday. He could go to Canada. He could go just about anywhere. What a talent that guy is. And also a great track stage. He's run 6:07 for 55 meters indoors. That's flat out world class. So you can imagine put a football in his hand and run at somebody. It's outstanding. But Augustine Olobia, who is really running his first year of track here at Washington State, he is a transfer from Texas Southern, also runs on the football team here for the Cougars. He has really come into his own, running 10:30 already this year, and he'll be a threat at the NCAAs.
Obidi 4, Olobia 6. They're set. Great start in lane 4 by Obidi. George Obidi in lane 4. What a terrific start. And the Cougar, Obidi, they're going to go 1-2. Obidi and Olobia.
800?
Oh, Dwight, he exploded out of the blocks in lane 4.
It's a fabulous start by George, especially when you consider that he was limping around, holding his back after that long jump. He recovered for the relay. He had a phenomenal start, as you noticed, Phil. Over 2 lanes to his right, Augustine Olobia really never got on track. You can see him swerving back and forth. He's wasting a lot of energy running laterally in his lane. George Obidi just simply set his sights on the finish line and kept driving, technically much more together than Augustine Olobia in lane 6, but they do go 1-2 just in the different order than we expected.
Unofficially, the time is 9.97.
It'll be a real test to see how far off the flash time is from the official time, but George Obidi on the right of your screen outdistances the favored Augustine Olobia. What a great 1-2 punch that they can interchange from first to second at any given time. That's a great advantage for Washington State, not only in the 100, but also in the relay, as George Obidi, he receives the accolades of the crowd. Even though it's an upset, it's a pleasant upset to this crowd that's been assembled to watch the Cougars' final race here at Washington State. As you can see, John Chaplin, the coach here, and that's the unofficial 9.97. If that were to hold up, that's a phenomenal time.
A phenomenal time indeed. It would be a new Pac-10 record, a new Newberry track record, and unquestionably a new record here at Washington State. We'll be back to find out if, in fact, it is official in a moment.
Do you know what open-end mutual funds are?
The Wall Street Journal Guide to Understanding Money and Markets tells you in clear, simple English.
Do you know how to spot trends in stocks?
And what stock options are?
And zero coupon bonds?
And the difference between Treasury bills and Treasury notes?
Everything you want to know about the sometimes baffling world of money and investing is in this remarkable 120-page book. And now it's yours free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Call now and you can have 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and this valuable 120-page Guide to Understanding Money and Markets. That's 13 weeks of the journal for the news and ideas you need every business day. And this guide free, which tells you everything you want to know about money and markets, all for only $37, a 24% savings off the newsstand price. Call now, toll-free, 800-642-7400. That's 800-642-7400 for today's Wall Street Journal.
Hey, life is not something to be taken lightly. You can't go out looking like that. Just who do you think you are?
When are you gonna grow up and get a real job?
You don't even have an IRA. When are you gonna mow the lawn?
Your hair's too long.
The bills are late.
Why can't you be more like Elliot? You can't always do what you want to do.
Every second of an asthma attack can feel like an eternity. That's why there's Primatene Mist. Primatene opens clogged breathing tubes, restores free breathing in as fast as 15 seconds. So you're breathing easy in practically no time. Primatene Mist, the fastest type relief known. And for hours of relief, Primatene tablets with the asthma reliever doctors recommend most.
Page 17 of your program. We welcome you back to Eastern Washington along with Dwight Stones. I am Phil Stone. For what an afternoon we have seen. It has been some terrific track and field competition. Just a moment ago in the pole vault competition, this is Oregon's Derek Snelling attempting 17 feet 3/4 of an inch, Dwight, a full foot over his career best.
He really rose to the occasion here. Patrick Johansson of Washington State favored, and even though he's very slow on the runway today because of that wrap on his right leg, Derek Snelling made a very nice jump at 17 feet 3/4 of an inch. Gets the pole plant. Let's see where it's at. Well, it's back a little bit. He's under. That's called under when that head is ahead of that top hand. But he just missed it there with his midsection on the way down. An outstanding attempt at 17 feet 3/4 of an inch. But Patrick Johansson of Washington State will win the pole vault, which is the way it looked on paper. But Derek Snelling gave it his all. Mark Vanderville of Oregon simply just didn't jump well today. So you never know. It's one of those swing events, high jump and pole vault. You can never really know what's going to happen.
Now this is the men's 800 meters, the world mark belonging to Sebastian Coe of Great Britain, established 10 years ago. The American mark, Johnny Gray, 142.6, and Joachim Cruz of Oregon holding the NCAA mark. In the field today, it is a good one. Shannon Lamora of Oregon in lane 2, Michael Jobert of Washington State in lane 3, and way out in lane number 6, Kevin Guberson of Washington State. We had expected to see Samuel Kabiri in this race, but he has elected not to run.
And they're off in the 800.
As I look on the track, Phil, Michael Jobert is also not out there, so that's a last-minute change on our list of entries, and the two of the stronger Washington State runners not in this particular race. So it'll be interesting. We have 3 Washington State runners and 2 from Oregon, none from Idaho. And another one of those swing events where Washington State and Oregon are both real strong. We took Samuel Kabiri and Michael Jobert out of the equation for Washington State. It could be a real bang-up strategic race as they get through the second turn on the first lap. Number 35.
We do not have him on our entry sheet.
Now that's what makes doing so much fun. I think it's Kabiri. That's not Kabiri.
No, it's not. As he comes in
big.
front of us,
It's a big upper body for Samuel Kabiri. We will try to find out exactly who that is as Washington State is leading 1-2. Now we see what we're talking about here. You see the first Oregon runner with the wraps on his legs. And number 2 and 3 Washington State runners have him boxed. They're working him over. They're trying to make it so that they can get at least 1-2 and maybe sweep 1-2-3 in this particular race.
That was Bill Wahunda of Washington State, who is now running in the number 2 spot, about to drop back to number 3.
The Oregon runner has gotten out of the box, now into second. And this is going to be a real race to see how the points shift out here. This is the kind of race that Bill Dellinger was talking about. If he could break up some of those short points for Washington State in the 400, 800, and 1500, that's what they needed to do.
It is now Chris McBride of Washington State leading Coley Candell. McBride and Candell, as Candell tries to pour it on. Wahunda is running in the number 3 spot. And it is going to be Chris McBride winning it. Coley Candell of Oregon finishing second, and Bill Wahunda of Washington State taking third.
And we're close to what we had on our sheet, but still a very competitive race. Washington State's going to get first and third here, which is about the way it seemed like it would be on paper with these athletes. And with Kabiri and Jobert in, it looked as though it could be a sweep for Washington State. So this is 3 points that Oregon will pick up. You can see right here, Chris McBride keeping it together very, very well. His teammates helped block for him any wind that there would have been during the race. And with about 150 meters to go, he's picked it up, finishes very smoothly here as Coley Candell, who was boxed, made a very good showing for himself considering how much work he had to do with the last lap.
McBride wins it, his best mark coming into this race, 151.26.
Significant improvement for him, almost a full second with a strategic race. Outstanding job.
McBride wins it, and he does it in convincing fashion. We're coming back with more from Washington State in Pullman in a moment.
One athlete has been on the cover of Sports Illustrated more than any other.
I must be the greatest.
A fierce competitor who knew no fear in or out of the ring.
I'll fight that chump in a telephone booth.
Muhammad Ali, boxing's best. And now you can get the incredible story of this sports legend captured on video free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. You'll get an electrifying look at Muhammad Ali only SI can deliver. Free.
I'm the fastest thing on 2 feet, man.
You'll relive it all, his greatest fights, the guts, and the glory. From gold medal winning triumph at the Olympic Games on to the startling rope-a-dope victory in Zaire over a young champion named George Foreman. Recall the grace, the charm, the showmanship, and the mouth.
One more time. Who's the champ of the world?
Call this toll-free number now and save over 50% off the cover price. Plus, get the Ali video free. You'll see the heated rivalries, including the 3 brutal confrontations with Smokin' Joe Frazier, Ali's stunning defeat in Madison Square Garden, up to the thriller in Manila.
And a thriller and a killer when I get the gorilla in Manila.
Definitely one of his most devastating battles ever. Get 23 inches of SI for 3 easy monthly installments of $9.89 each. That's over 50% off the cover price. You can put it on your credit card. You'll even get the baseball preview and the 1991 swimsuit issue, revealing the latest trends in beachwear, along with the Muhammad Ali video free.
Ali is the world heavyweight champion for the 3rd time.
Call now. You'll save big on Sports Illustrated and get the free video that must be the greatest.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
Along with White Stones, I'm Phil Stone. Track and field coverage here on ESPN. Today we are in Pullman, Washington for a triangular meet, and let's take a look now at some official results. In the women's 3,000 meters, it was Wessel of Oregon, followed by Julia Salt of Oregon, and Nicole Woodward completing the Lady Duck sweep.
That's the kind of situation Washington State just can't have. And here in the 400-meter relay, Washington State barely winning in 39.72 Oregon. It was an outstanding race.
And in the women's 400-meter relay, Washington State 39.72 over the Lady Ducks. A bit of a surprise there.
Men's 1,500 meters, we saw Samuel Kibiri running 3:42.55 easy over Mark Olden of Idaho, Shannon Lamora of Oregon, but Samuel Kibiri looking very, very smooth. We'll be seeing a lot of him later on. And in the women's 100-meter hurdles, it was 15 up to 1. in lane 5 for Oregon. Jennifer Galka on her left, trying to make up the deficit. She didn't run as good a turn, but it's Camera Jones all the way as she keeps her technique together. You can see Jennifer Galka sort of twisting side to side. It's a lot of wasted effort, but out in lane 6, it's Brandy Stevenson of Washington State who comes up for third place, so they get second and third, which is very, very important, but it's Oregon that is dominating. Actually, the girl from Idaho may have gotten third, but it's very, very close for third. But Camera Jones, the class of the field, running very close to her personal best. We aren't sure exactly, Camera, what the official time is. We've been adding about 0.3 of a second to the unofficial time, so you ran around 24.6. Are you pleased with that time at this point in the season?
That's a pretty good time. I mean, competition-wise and everything, I'm very satisfied.
You seem to have made a nice transition from a senior in high school last year where you dominated and now in the college ranks. Was it a tough adjustment for you?
No, because I ran a lot like in nationals and stuff like that, so I was prepared for some really good competition.
Does the coaching staff here impress upon you how important this meet is? It's a real good rivalry between Oregon and Washington State. Even though the Lady Cougs have never lost to you, you're on your way to 14 in a row. Was this still an important meet on the dual meet schedule?
It's pretty good. It was time for us some of us to relax a little because we've been working real hard. So we only did a few events so we could concentrate a lot on those.
Well, you concentrated all the way to a nice victory in the 200 meters. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Camera Jones of Oregon. She wins it. Her time, 24.36. Jennifer Galka of Washington State leading a Lady Coug number 2 and 3 place finish. Well, don't go away. Still to come the men's 200 meters. Also the women's 1,500 and more from Pullman, Washington in a moment.
How Tommy Carosa eats a Reese's peanut butter cup.
How do I eat a Reese's peanut butter cup?
Yes, sir.
I just stick them in my mouth and chew.
That's...
Who wants to know?
There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Do you know what open-end mutual funds are?
The Wall Street Journal Guide to Understanding Money and Markets tells you in clear, simple English.
Do you know how to spot trends in stocks?
And what stock options are?
And zero coupon bonds?
And the difference between Treasury bills and Treasury notes?
Everything you want to know about the sometimes baffling world of money and investing is in this remarkable 120-page book. And now it's yours free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Call now and you can have 13 weeks of the Wall Street Journal and this valuable 120-page Guide to Understanding Money and Markets. That's 13 weeks of the journal for the news and ideas you need every business day. And this guide free, which tells you everything you want to know about money and markets, all for only $37, a 24% savings off the newsstand price. Call now, toll-free, 800-642-7400. That's 800-642-7400 for today's Wall Street Journal.
We are back with more track and field action here on ESPN. We are in Pullman, Washington, along with Dwight Stones. I am Phil Stone. It's the men's 200 meters. The world mark belonging to Italy's Pietro Mania, 19.72. The American record is owned by Carl Lewis, and the NCAA mark by his good friend Joe DeLoche of Houston, 19.75, equaling Lewis's American mark. Our field today, we will be watching in lane 2, Michael Jobert of Washington State. In lane 4, Augustine Alovia of Washington State. Right next to him in lane 5, Bob Gray of Oregon. Oh, what a day it has already been for Augustine Alovia.
Second in the 100 meters to his teammate, George Obedi, who has withdrawn from this race. Apparently Cougars feeling they have the meet well in hand. Augustine Alovia, this is also a good event for him. He's very, very strong. Tailback on the football team. This is his first year running for Washington State as he's a transfer from Texas Southern. Instead of running the 800 out in lane 2, Michael Joubert of Washington State running the 200, so he has phenomenal range. Good leg speed because he's only 5'5" tall from Australia. We'll see how he holds up in this. Also watch from Oregon, Harrison 3 and Gray in 5.
Certainly when you talk about Michael Joubert, Dwight, you mentioned he is really a 400 and an 800 meter specialist. He's coming down to the 200 meters here. No question about his stamina. The only question mark might be, does he have the explosive start?
Exactly. He ran that first 200 of his 400 as though he had a good explosive start, but in the middle of the track, look at Augustin Olobia.
Olobia, his season best 20.76, and look at him as he begins to really pour it on. Olobia in lane 4. Olobia wins it. Eric Haynes of Idaho and the extreme outside in lane 8 came up to capture second.
Preliminary time 20.71. It's going to be around 21 flat if it stays consistent with what we've been doing. Augustin Olobia doing a little bit of swerving back and forth as he came off of the turn. Let's see, as we isolate him, very outstanding start. Of course, he's got a great start. He's the indoor 55-meter NCAA champion, so of course he has a great start. He's running very, very well here as he makes up the stagger on Bob Gray of Oregon in the first 50 meters of his 200. I'm interested to see how much of his lateral movement was happening as he comes off this turn. He's sort of moving side to side, which you hate to see. That's a lot of wasted movement. And it looked as though he was doing a little bit of that as he came up the home stretch. We can't tell from here if he was going into a little bit of a headwind. Maybe we can ask him that in a few minutes. But then he just starts to unwind. Now it's 100 meters for Augustin. He's got enough strength that he can go the distance as he pulls away from Ronnie Harris of Oregon on his left and from Bob Gray of Oregon on his right. And outside of the screen, way out in lane 8, Eric Haynes actually came up and made a very strong bid the last 50 meters, and he ends up second. But Augustin Olobia, an easy winner here as he lets up right at the tape, something around 21 flat. And Augustin, I have to ask you, after losing the 100 to your teammate, George Obeidi, how did you feel about your chances here in the 200 now with him out of it? Did you feel you had the race well in hand, no problem?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Tell me about some of that lateral movement. I don't know if you had a chance to look in the monitor there at your race, that last 100 meters. It seems as though the first 50 meters of that straightaway, you were moving a little bit side to side. Is that something that you're trying to work on controlling?
Yeah, well, I guess it's because for the last 3 weeks I've been working on football, so it's kind of messing up my running form, but it'll be okay soon.
Do you find that's a good match, though? You work the first few days of the week with the football team and come out and work with the track. You're able to relax running track?
Yeah, well, not really. Like I said, football is holding my track a beat, but I'll get things straight.
Well, you're the favorite to win the 100 at the NCAAs. Do you like that kind of pressure, or would you prefer not just to sort of hide in the crowd?
I'm not the favorite anymore. George is the favorite.
What a diplomat. Nice job in the 200, Augustine.
Thanks.
Augustin Olobia, he runs off and wins the men's 200 meters here in Pullman. Official time, 20.71. Eric Haynes of Idaho leading a Vandal number 2 and second place finish. We're coming back with more from Eastern Washington in just a moment.
Planning. Where did I get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I called Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I save plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
Choices. Dad's conservative, and that's okay, but I'm after high return. At Schwab, I can be aggressive. I just bought some high-growth mutual funds and an undervalued stock I know will take off, all by computer and Schwab's low commission. Dad said, plan ahead, get there first. Maybe that's why my name's on the door first.
For a free Schwab-backed kit, call toll-free 800-322-3700. That's 800-322-3700.
We give you more ways to succeed.
Hi, I'm Scotty the Bulldog Olson. Please join me on April 25th in Bismarck, North Dakota on Top Rank Boxing.
Scott Bulldog Olson faces Raymond Solis on Top Rank Boxing Thursday night live on ESPN.
Now the temperature now here in Pullman, Washington, well over 80 degrees. I'll tell you, it is spring in the Pacific Northwest to be sure. And we are now set for the women's 1,500 meters, the world mark established 11 years ago by the great Soviet distant runner Tatiana Kazankina, the American record set by Mary Slaney back in 1983, and the NCAA mark still belonging to Leanne Warren, who competed for Oregon back in the early 1980s. Our field, we will be watching lanes 4 and lane 5. Lisa Carnop of Oregon and Luisa Donacimento of Washington State right alongside in lane 5. And also we'll be keeping our eye on lane 6, Lucy Nusrala of Oregon.
This should be a hotly contested event between Carnop of Oregon and Donacimento of Washington State. Their times within a half second of each other, so it'll have a lot to do with the fact that the race is here in Pullman, what the Washington State Lady Cougs have decided to do from a standpoint of strategy of trying to box their opponent, as we look at Lisa Carnop, who had her best season since being a freshman last year. She's now a senior, had some problems as a sophomore and a junior, scoring in the Pac-10 meet last year, and she has the range to go from 1,500 all the way up to 5,000, so a very versatile runner for Coach Tom Heinonen.
And of course, right alongside for Washington State, Luisa Donacimento, the senior from Sao Paulo, Brazil. First began major competition back in, I believe it was 1984, competed in track for the Brazil Football Club. Won the Brazilian Cup in 800 meters for age group, second in the Junior South American Championships either that year or the next year. She will be chasing Lisa Carnop, who will be starting in lane 4.
Donacimento's last chance to run in front of the hometown crowd here in Pullman. This is the last meet for any of the seniors here at Washington State, so they want to make it a good one. It's gotten a little bit warm for running this particular race, 1,500 meters, but you couldn't really ask for a better day from the standpoint of almost all of the events. Beautiful blue sky and very little wind at all here at Newberry Track.
Free to go.
Die, man.
Washington State with an early lead as they come into view. It is Darcy Jo Miller of Washington State, followed closely by Lisa Carnop. And at this moment in time, it is Luisa Donacimento who is running dead last.
Washington State has improved his lead in men's distance to 172.4. And here are the women finishing the first lap of the 1,500 meters.
Now Darcy Jo Miller. Now, you know, I think that is Lucy Donacimento leading. Why she has on a wrong number. I think she has on Darcy Jo Miller's number.
Either that or it's bent over and the O looked like an 8, but it's definitely Luisa Donacimento, followed by Lisa Carnop. Unless she was hurt and wouldn't be running, she wouldn't be back that far, and they are running 1-2. Luisa Donacimento doing the work at this point in time. No other Washington State Lady Cougar up there to help her at all. 2 Oregon runners right behind her, so she's going to have to make the pace and decide what she wants to do, because she is just within 0.5 of a second of her personal best, ahead of Lisa Carnop of Oregon. And now, right now, Lisa is able to just watch Donacimento and follow her pace. It'll be interesting to see how the last lap develops, as we have 2 laps to go.
Now Donacimento, 5'7", 128 pounds. Donacimento, before coming to the United States back in 1987-88, began her collegiate career at the University of Santo, which is the alma mater of perhaps the greatest Brazilian athlete of all time, the great Pelé.
I don't think you get much of an argument on that. Pelé just dominating and making soccer such a popular sport. Also, Joaquin Cruz, who went to school at the University of Oregon, the Olympic champion in 1984 in 800 meters, also one of those great Brazilian contingents. They have 3 or 4 middle distance runners who are just outstanding. So they have a tradition down there, especially when it comes to world championships and Olympic Games, as Luisa Donacimento continues to lead from Lisa Carnop. Going to be coming up with 1 lap to go in about 100 meters, and Louisa is going to have to decide what she's going to do because she has led from the beginning. It seems as though from the gun she went out and attempted to establish a little bit of a break, but that's been all eaten up right now as we come with 1 lap to go.
What had been a pretty fierce crosswind just about a half hour ago is now just a very, very light breeze.
And there goes Lisa Carnop. A little more than 300 meters to go. She's decided to make the break, as well as Lucy Nusralla from Oregon, who is now going to take over the lead. It's Nusralla of Oregon, Carnop of Oregon, and Luisa de Nascimento. You talk to any middle distance runner, they'd hate to lead a race for that long because they're doing all the work, as the Oregon runners are now trying to run away from Luisa de Nascimento, who is trying desperately not to have contact broken. Lucy Nusralla leading over Lisa Carnop, and they are steadily increasing that lead meter by meter over Luisa de Nascimento of Washington State. It appears as though she is broken at this point in time unless she has something in reserve that the other runners don't know about.
Lucy Nusralla, the junior from Corvallis, Oregon, a young lady that just a year ago achieved personal bests in all 3 of her events in her first season at Oregon, is making it look easy as she runs away from both of the pre-race favorites, teammate Lisa Carnop and Luisa de Nascimento of Washington State.
And that's going to break the back of the Lady Cougs. They were a bit behind anyway, but now 1-2 from Oregon in that particular race. That's going to pretty much bury it for Oregon. They are going to run away with this meet on the ladies' side. We'll have to see what happens on the men's side, but you can see together the Oregon runners, Nusralla and Carnop, just work together and slowly but surely, meter by meter, continue to make that gap on Luisa de Nascimento. She had led for 3/4 of the race. And that's what happens in a dual meet situation. You have your teammates help you break the other runners, run interference, box, whatever is necessary. But in this particular case, Luisa de Nascimento sort of planned her own demise by leading the race from the beginning. She tried to get a lead in the beginning of the race, but Carnop and Nusralla were right behind her the whole time. And we've got Lucy Nusralla now, who is a little bit of an upset winner as far as a pre-race on paper would go. But Lucy, you look very, very good as you pulled away from both your teammate, Lisa Carnop, and Luisa de Nascimento. That last 150 meters, you look very, very strong. What have you been doing lately?
Actually, that was the last hardest kick I've had to do all year. I usually have gone with about 300 to go, and then Lisa went with me. So I just tried to say, relax, don't worry about it. Use her, help her, she's going to help you. And not much to wait for the last 100, so then that's like maybe 150. I just said, I'm going to give it everything I have, and it was a tiring race. I didn't know how it would end up in the last lap.
How about
just got lucky.
How about that nurturing atmosphere you've got down in Oregon? You've got all those great distance runners on your ladies team.
That's great, yeah.
And it's got to be so helpful to be running day in and day out with all these great runners and pushing each other. Does that help in a situation like this?
Oh, yeah. We can set up the race working together, and when Lisa went, I was going to go. And it really helps when there's only one other runner from another team.
Well, it worked to perfection today. Congratulations on an excellent effort.
Thanks.
Lucy Nusralla, after sitting out a year because of transferring from Notre Dame, she has run to victory with a career best here at 1,500 meters, 4:27.51. More from Washington State when we return.
One athlete has been on the cover of Sports Illustrated more than any other.
I must be the greatest.
A fierce competitor who knew no fear in or out of the ring.
I'll fight that chump in a telephone booth.
Muhammad Ali, boxing's best. And now you can get the incredible story of this sports legend captured on video free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. You'll get an electrifying look at Muhammad Ali only SI can deliver. Free.
I'm the fastest thing on 2 feet, man.
You'll relive it all, his greatest fights, the guts, and the glory. From gold medal winning triumph at the Olympic Games, on to the startling rope-a-dope victory in Zaire over a young champion named George Foreman. Recall the grace, the charm, the showmanship, and the mouth.
One more time, who's the champ of the world?
Call this toll-free number now and save over 50% off the cover price. Plus, get the Ali video free. You'll see the heated rivalries, including the 3 brutal confrontations with Smokin' Joe Frazier, Ali's stunning defeat in Madison Square Garden, up to the thriller in Manila.
And a thriller and a killer when I get the gorilla in Manila.
Definitely one of his most devastating battles ever. Get 23 issues of SI for 3 easy monthly installments of $9.89 each. That's over 50% off the cover price. You can put it on your credit card. You'll even get the baseball preview and the 1991 swimsuit issue, revealing the latest trends in beachwear, along with the Muhammad Ali video free.
Ali is the world heavyweight champion for the third time.
Call now. You'll save big on Sports Illustrated and get the free video that must be the greatest.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the wall. I shook up the wall.
Now the wind has picked up just a tad here in eastern Washington. We are at Pullman as we are winding up this triangular meet here in Pullman, Washington, Oregon, Washington State, and Idaho. And here is Jackie Ross.
She had a career day here, a meet record in the triple jump. Anytime you go over 40 feet, you're doing a good job as the women are just learning this event. She jumped 41-1 in the triple jump. You see her sort of hop away, hobbling a little bit. Hop, step, and jump is what they used to call the triple jump. And usually what you have with the women is a very long hop off the board and then a very short step and then a long jump. Let's see if that's what happens here. No, and really an excellent step phase. She's not using her arms as well as she could, and imagine getting out to 41-1 without using her arms. If she were to incorporate that part of her technique, she could get a good couple of feet more on that jump. But that's an outstanding jump for Jackie Ross of Idaho. Certainly the most outstanding result from the Idaho athletes this afternoon.
In an event that Willie Banks once said is the most unorthodox of them all. We are set now for the women's 1,600-meter relay, the world record belonging to the Soviet team. A time of 3:15.17. The same year, America's national team launched a time of 3:15.51. The NCAA record belonging to the Lady Seminoles, 3:28.46. Now, Oregon will be led by Karen Weidman, Tirza Hunt, Gwen Ween, and Erica Klein, while Washington State will lead with Tracy Plyman. Jill Anderson will run the second leg. Vicki Payette will run number 3, and the junior from Moses Lake, Washington, Jennifer Carpenter, will run the anchor leg. We understand that the Lady Vandals of Idaho have been a late scratch.
As we see Karen Weidman testing her start out of the blocks. They run Olympic turns here at Pullman, here at Newberry Track. So the first leg will be run all the way in lanes, and then the first turn on the second leg will be all the way in lanes, and then they'll break for the pole at the top of the backstretch. And that's oftentimes how athletes get in trouble in international events. Many of the colleges will just run where they'll run the first lap in lanes, hand off, and then the athletes will go immediately to the inside. And I'm reminded of what happened to the U.S. national team, men's national team, at the Olympic Games in 1984, where Walter McCoy from Florida almost made an absolutely terrible, disastrous mistake. As we go to the high jump, here's Stoller of Washington State up for his third and final attempt. We'll see if he uses his arm on this one because he hasn't been all day. And once again, not incorporating the upper body, which is so important not only in running but in all of the jumping events. And I've been noticing all afternoon watching these athletes, outstanding run-ups, good speed. They get into a good position, and they watch the arms drop to the sides, and they're not used at all. And that's the little extra, that extra inch that helps those athletes get over the bar. Lloyd Stoller's final attempt at 7 feet, a half an inch. He has a best of 7.1 indoors, and he has been their best jumper for a couple of years. A great tradition here at Washington State. My cousin Doug Nordquist, who was on the Olympic team with me in 1984, went to school here. Brent Harkin, who has jumped 7.8 this indoor season, also jumping for Rick Sloan, the assistant here at Washington State. They have rich tradition in the high jump.
We are set. It's the women's 1,600-meter relay. That is Tracy Plyman. She will begin for Washington State. Karen Weidman for Oregon.
Watch the whole first lap in lanes. You can see they're separated much more than they normally would be in just a 400 meters because of that extra stagger where the second runner will run the entire turn in their lane, and I didn't get a chance to finish on that. Walter McCoy really almost got the U.S. team disqualified in the first round at the Olympic Games in 1984. Luckily, there was no protest that was honored, and we went on to win the gold medal on the men's side. So it's very, very good that John Chaplin runs an Olympic format here at Washington State to teach these athletes how to run the relay properly, as we see Tracy Plyman really running way in front of Oregon's Karen Weidman on this very first leg. This race could be over right here and now.
She's got a good 20-meter lead on Karen Weidman and the Lady Ducks of Oregon. Here is Jill Anderson. A good baton exchange, and Anderson is off, and Tirza Hunt of Oregon is in hot pursuit.
Now we'll see. Jill Anderson will cut for the pole after she has that turn, meet the straight. She'll go into the inside lane, which she does very efficiently, and there is an easy 35-meter lead on Oregon. Jill Anderson over Tirza Hunt, and it appears right now that the Lady Cougars have this well in hand. That seems like such a huge gap to have to make up when you're so tired from running a number of different events as these girls have been running all afternoon. To make up that kind of a gap at this point in time is very, very difficult. Of course, University of Oregon way out in front in the team standings at this point in time. The Lady Cougars running this one for pride and to at least win the last event of the afternoon.
Tirza Hunt of Oregon trying to close that 35-meter lead for the Lady Cougars, and is doing a nice job. And now it is Anderson on the baton pass to Vicky Payette, and another good exchange, and here comes Gwen Wayne.
And the Lady Ducks had a terrible exchange. Gwen Ween actually running off the track onto the infield. No problem there with a disqualification, but she lost at least 10 meters of that lead that Tirza Hunt had cut into of Washington State, and now that lead is back again to at least 35 meters as the Lady Cougars are continuing to put distance on the Lady Ducks.
Running the anchor leg for Washington State will be Jennifer Carpenter, and oh my. And just look at this lead. Vicky Payette, a good 35 meters, maybe 40 meters now over Gwen Ween. It'll be Carpenter running the anchor leg for the Cougars, Erica Klein for the Ducks of Oregon.
And Vicky Payette's turnover, her leg turnover, is so much better than Gwen Wayne's. I mean, Gwen is a much taller athlete, but Vicky Payette shorter, but turning over well, as she's put everything in this lead as she hands off to Jennifer Carpenter. And as you said, Phil, an easy 40-meter lead now as Erica Klein takes the baton for the University of Oregon.
And this one's in the bank. They're giving out free hot dogs here at Newberry Stadium, and I'll tell you, at this point, Jennifer Carpenter could stop for one.
That's the truth. At least 45-meter lead now, and she's showing no signs of giving up. Really an outstanding performance when you figure they're really getting drubbed by the Lady Ducks, but for pride and for the hometown crowd, Jennifer Carpenter in this whole 4x400 relay of Washington State giving a very good showing here as they're leading by 45 to 50 meters over Erica Klein and the Lady Ducks.
Now this one's in the bank for the Cougars of Washington State. Jennifer Carpenter, she is just cruising down this front straightaway. Junior from Moses Lake, Washington. The team of Kleiman, Anderson, Payette, and Carpenter run to victory here in the women's 1,600-meter relay, and here comes Erica Klein. Now the problem with that particular relay, Dwight, is that quite frankly, Plyman of Washington State had given the Cougars such a lead on that first leg that Hunt, Ween, and Klein simply had no chance.
It would be difficult to say what would happen if the meet was on the line under those conditions. Of course, you may have had a different group of athletes from Coach Tom Heineman from Oregon. But again, for Washington State, at least it's a nice thing to end the meet on, to win big in the 4x400 relay. University of Oregon, just such great depth. Outstanding talent throughout, from the sprints all the way through the long distances, the jumps and the throws. They really are the class of this meet and maybe one of the best three dual meet teams in the country.
Now don't go away, we're coming back. The men's 1,600-meter relay is still to come.
It was around 10 a.m. when we arrived at the scene of the crime. SRO had filed a missing persons report on their bowlers.
They're gone. They're missing.
Just the facts, ma'am. Well, Well, the facts were I had to come up with a plan to bring them in. Simple, yet effective. We'll offer them these nifty hats. If they wear them in, they get a discount.
It'll work, Joe.
Right. SRO has it all. Clean lanes, good food, computerized scoring, and now their bowlers are back.
And that puts a lid on it.
$1 million is on the line in USA Network's World League Challenge, and you can win it instantly, along with a world of other big prizes. If you have the guts to play. Remember, one play and life could be a whole new ball game. Catch World League football action on USA Network.
Pick up a game piece for USA Network's World League Challenge at any Olympic sports location.
Winding down here at Pullman, Washington, it's the men's 1,600-meter relay. And it will be the pack chasing the world mark set by the United States, 2:56.16, established back in 1988. The NCAA record of 2:59.91, established that same year by the Bruins of UCLA. And it is Oregon and Washington State. For Oregon, Curtis Wilson will run the lead leg. For Washington State, they will counter with William Knight. Look at the Cougars. Their season best 3:10.29.
They only with the 10 best relay teams into the NCAA championships in both the 4x1 and the 4x4. And both these teams will have to go some to do that. The provisional qualifying standard 3:08 flat, and the automatic qualifier 3:05.25, and they don't normally have a whole lot of trouble getting 10 teams to run that. That's when you've got just a horse stall full of 400-meter runners, and these guys are maybe have one or two, but they don't have the 4 and 5 that the Baylors and the UCLAs and the Florida States and those type of schools traditionally have. But this should be a close race, even though Washington State's way out in front in the dual team scoring.
Washington State in the men's side, as Dwight said, leading by a bundle. On the other side of the equation, the women's competition, it is an exact flip-flop.
Once again, we'll see them run the entire first lap in lanes, and then the second runner will run the first full turn in their lane. And unlike what happened on the women's side, Curtis Wilson making it quite a race with William Knight, the taller Oregon runner on the inside, Will Knight of Washington State, the shorter runner on the outside, and the Oregon runner has made up the stagger. This will be interesting to see how this shifts out.
Curtis Wilson. Oh, did he make up some ground. Wilson now beginning to stretch it out as Knight tires coming down the straightaway to hand the baton.
Now Knight is coming back as Curtis Wilson starts to tie up badly. His lane is going up in the air. They are going to hand off together, but remember, the inside runner has the advantage because the first full turn is in lanes as Mark McDonald of Washington State and Levon Pierce of Oregon on the second lane, and Mark McDonald's running smart. He's not trying to make up the gap immediately. He's going to take his time, try to get his team back into this race.
Running oh so smoothly, Levon Pierce of Oregon.
Mark McDonald of Washington State slowly but surely chipping away at that lead, letting Levon Pierce butt some of that wind as they come on that second turn. And now Mark McDonald starting to lift. He has the strength. He knows that if he just keeps his team close, the teams are so closely matched on time that he wants to just keep the team in the race. But now Levon Pierce making a nice move as he pulls away from Mark McDonald as they make the second exchange.
The exchange goes to a man who is not even in the Oregon press guide. Brian Walls is his name as he begins now to try and stretch it out over Chris McBride of Washington State.
Now, Chris McBride is smart. He'll also take his time making up that gap unless he knows something that we don't, and that is he can finish just as strong in the home stretch as the hometown crowd is liking it, but we will see if he pays the price for that early burst of speed in the first 200 meters to see if Brian Walls is able to come back on Chris McBride as they go with about 100 meters to go to the final exchange.
McBride, what a move he put on Brian Walls. McBride, now it is Walls trying to come up on McBride's right shoulder. Oh, is this going to be an anchor leg? Jobert of Washington State and Brian Ryan of Oregon, and there they go.
Oregon definitely got the advantage on that exchange, even though Brian Walls came in slightly behind Chris McBride on the exchange. Brian Wright was able to take the lead, but we've seen Michael Joubert earlier. He has the speed, he has the strength from his 800-meter background training. He's going to take his time. He says, fine, stay out in front of me, Brian, no problem, I'll just run off of you, and with about 120 meters to go, I'm going to make my move.
Joubert with the explosive kick as they swing out of the final turn down the home straightaway. Joubert, he did it earlier today. Mutton Jet down the final turn. Look at him turn over. He is just blowing by Brian Wright with 50 meters to go. Michael Joubert ran smart and brings the Cougars home victorious over the Ducks and puts the final signature on this huge runaway drubbing by the Cougars over the Ducks here at Newberry Field. Unofficially, 350.26.
It's like next to the title.
And I don't think that's anywhere even close.
Now that's got to be I think they have the women's results still up on the scoreboard. Phil, let's watch this last exchange. You'll see that Brian Wright of Oregon gets a huge advantage on this handoff. I don't know whether Joubert muffed the handoff or they just had a little trouble making the exchange. Oregon's was a cleaner exchange, and Brian Wright took the lead. Michael Joubert changed his hands with the baton, which I've never understood. When you're not going to hand it off, why change hands with it? But he just bided his time. Michael Joubert said, fine, Brian, go right ahead, do all the work. I'll run off of you. In fact, I'm drafting behind you. He's drafting like a cyclist. And with 120 meters to go, just as I said, he swung a little bit wide, and he's got that turnover. He's just 5'5" tall and can run effectively from 200 all the way up to 800. And he just goes by with 100 meters to go. He says, goodbye, you've done all the work, and I am going to take the gravy. And with 50 meters to go, he just ran away from Brian Wright. And John Chaplin down on the infield with his team. This has got to be a wonderful moment for him. He has just handed Oregon one of its worst defeats when you consider how good a team Oregon has. In fact, Coach Bill Dellinger told me earlier, Dwight, we may have the second best dual meet team in the country, but if things go the way they could go, Chaplin could absolutely tear us up today, and it appears as though that is exactly what has happened, Phil.
Unofficially, that time 309.58. And John Chaplin, what an incredible afternoon for your Cougars of Washington State.
Well, they did a pretty good job today. We're pleased with them. This relay team is indicative. They just don't say quit this year.
John, you shouldn't be so modest. You were saying coming in here that, hey, it could be close. It could hinge on a couple of events here and there. You guys seem to really come through just about everywhere. Not only did they do as well as you expected, they actually went above and beyond your expectations as the seniors compete for the last time here in front of the hometown crowd.
Well, the big thing was Lee with the sore leg, and we kept him out of the relay, and he just kind of played in the hurdles, was all right. And the other one was, of course, Obedi, who after the long jump could hardly walk, and they beat him on him a little bit, and he hung up in the relay, and then in the 100, he just smoked.
Well, so
I think next week I'll beat him with the club and give him a free T-shirt. It works well.
So oftentimes you see when you guys have got the team like you do, the guys make up with heart what they may be lacking in fitness. Tony Lee, as you said, only able to run in the hurdles, but the rest of this team certainly seemed to rise to the occasion as you had come through performances by a number of your athletes.
Well, you know, in the 18 years Bill and I have been doing this, I've won 10 and he's won 10, so, you know, you never know what's going to happen in a given day.
John, are you confident that perhaps now here in 1991 that you have a team with enough depth to unseat Louisiana State at the NCAAs?
Well, if Duke did it, maybe they set a good fortune for us this year. We've been a bridesmaid enough times they had. Maybe we'll get it wise this year.
Just a great performance by the Cougars of Washington State on the men's side as they shellac the Ducks of Oregon. Washington State's winning time in the 1600 men's meter relay, 309.57. Back with some final thoughts in a moment.
Which publication tells you about hundreds of great jobs open across the country right now? High-paying professional, managerial, and technical jobs. The National Business Employment Weekly. Which publication helps you land one of those jobs with articles on how to sharpen your resume, how to shine in interviews, how to market yourself. The National Business Employment Weekly. Which publication helps you do better after you land a great job? Get along with your boss, get a raise, get promoted. The National Business Employment Weekly, published by the Wall Street Journal. It's all you need besides your own ability to land and do well in the kind of job you've been looking for in a part of the country you'll enjoy at a salary you can be proud of. It's all you need. Get the National Business Employment Weekly at your newsstand or order by credit card and get 8 issues by first-class mail for $35. Call 800-372-3000. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
NASCAR Racing's hot car is the Chevy Lumina, piloted by jockeys like Daytona champion Ernie Irvan.
My Lumina puts me in victory lane. Here's your chance to win the Lumina of your choice, like a new Z34. From now until the halfway point of ESPN's next Pick the Winning Chevy race, you can call and enter the number of the Lumina you think will finish highest in the race for just 99 cents a minute. The winner will be selected from all correct phone and mail entries. Hey, nice job. See you Sunday on ESPN.
Late afternoon here in Pullman, Washington. Boy, what an outstanding meet we had. As we said at the outset of our telecast, Dwight, we thought it would be a near sweep for Washington State on the men's side and for the Ducks of Oregon on the ladies' side. It, too, fell into the exact form we thought. In the men's triple jump, the official results, Charles Huff of Washington State with a jump of 53 1/4 inches over Callie Roberts, his teammate, and Devon Hosey of Oregon.
And it's those kinds of results that made the difference in the score. Women's discus, Georgette Reed, Pac-10 athlete of the week last week, 164 feet. That's over her personal best as she wins against Julie Beck of Oregon, and her teammate Christy Andrews comes up for third. And in the women's 800, we saw Jill Carpenter of Washington State, 209.6. You didn't see it. We saw it over Erica Klein and Vicki Payette, who ran a very good 4x400 relay leg. It was looking good for the Lady Cougs at that point.
And the women's 400-meter hurdles, the official results, Karen Weideman of Oregon, 102.28. Kristen Sandberg of Washington State sandwiched in between another Lady Duck, Tracy Looney, taking third. And in the men's 400-meter hurdles competition, Brian Wright of Oregon, 50.87. Mark McDonald of Washington State taking second, and Brian Walls of Oregon, he finished third.
That was a hotly contested race right down to the wire, indicative of all the action this afternoon. Washington State coming up in the men's side, really dominating, as we saw Kamara Jones in the 200, 24.51. Jennifer Galka of Washington State in second, Brandy Stevenson in third. And in the men's 200, Augustine Olovia, he did not have his teammate George Obidi to beat, so he simply just ran away with the race by himself. Eric Haynes of Idaho for second, and Stephen Lewis of Idaho up for third.
And in the women's 1,500 meters, Lucy Nusralla in a bit of an upset. She came out of nowhere on the final turn to outdistance teammate Lisa Carna, a time of 4:27.49. Lucy DeMassamento of Washington State taking third. Well, as the sun begins to set here at Washington State, we're going to step away. We'll be back with some final thoughts from Pullman in just a moment.
I want to ask you about something.